Do you ever see a brand just explode onto the scene? You know, the one everyone's talking about, looks like the next big thing. And then, almost overnight, poof, it's gone. Well, that is the incredible story of Salad and Go's expansion into Texas. It was sold as the future of healthy fast food, growing at a wild pace, and then it all just disappeared. So let's get into the story of massive ambition, lightning fast growth, and a really sudden, kind of shocking retreat.
Okay, so to really get why this all fell apart, you have to understand the hype first. Salad and Go wasn't just another place to grab a salad. No, this was positioned as a full-on revolution for the drive-thru. The promise? It was simple, but it was powerful. Fresh, genuinely healthy food that was just as cheap and just as fast as getting a burger and fries. And you know what? For a while there, it really seemed like they had cracked the code. They were winning over fans with every single new location they opened.
73. Let that number sink in. In less than 6 months, Salad and Go shut down 73 stores across Texas and Oklahoma. After a period of what looked like completely unstoppable growth, the company didn't just slam on the brakes. It was like they threw the whole thing in reverse and floored it.
So the big question is, how does a company go from being the darling of the healthy eating world to a total cautionary tale so quickly? What in the world was going on behind the scenes that went so wrong? All right, let's break it all down. The final chapter for this big expansion really came in January of 2026. After months of rumors and some scattered closures that had people wondering, Salad and Go dropped a bombshell. They were pulling out of Texas and Oklahoma completely. And when I say pulled out, I mean a complete and total withdrawal. This wasn't just a little trim here and there. All 25 of the remaining stores in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, gone. All 7 locations up in Oklahoma, shuttered. The huge Dallas commissary kitchen that was the lifeline for all of them, shut down. They even packed up their corporate headquarters in Texas and moved it right back to Arizona. And the human cost? About 600 employees were impacted. Just like that. The whole chapter in the Lone Star State was abruptly over. To really understand how such a promising expansion could fail so spectacularly, we have to rewind a bit. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, to that original, brilliant idea that started this whole thing. Okay, so the initial concept was genius. It really was. Founded back in 2013, the mission was simple: make healthy food easy and affordable for everyone. Now, the model was the secret sauce. They used these tiny little drive-thru only buildings. I'm talking as small as 750 square feet, which kept their rent and building costs super low. And all these little outposts were supplied by massive central kitchens, which made everything really efficient. The result of all this? You could get a high-quality, delicious salad or wrap for under $8. In their home market of Arizona, this was a total home run. But you know, getting a local favorite in Arizona is one thing. Taking that winning model and trying to scale it up across a state the size of Texas, that is a whole different ballgame. And that's where the ambition and, well, the trouble really kicked into high gear. This timeline, wow, it really shows you just how fast this whole thing went up and then came crashing right back down. So in 2021, fresh off being bought by a private equity firm, Salad and Go makes its big Texas debut. By 2022, they hire the former CEO of Wingstop to lead this massive growth push. And by May of 2025, they hit their peak, over 140 stores. But just look how fast the tide turns. Only 4 months later, they abruptly close 41 stores in Texas. And by January 2026, it is all over. A 4-year journey from an explosive arrival to a complete exit. Just incredible. So here's the really crucial point. This wasn't just a case of bad luck or a tough market. The company's own leadership came right out and admitted that the strategy itself, the whole game plan, was fundamentally broken from the start. I mean, you can't get much clearer or more blunt than this. The new CEO, Mike Tattersfield, who came on board in April 2025, right before everything imploded, did not mince words. He stated, plain as day, that the entire growth strategy was built on a flawed business plan. So this wasn't some external shock. This was an internal strategic failure. And if you look closely, the red flags were there, even before the big wave of closures. The CEO who led that big expansion, Charlie Morrison, he left in 2024 because of disagreements over the brand's strategy. That's a huge sign of trouble at the very top. It tells you the blueprint for growth was already being questioned inside the company. Then, right as new leadership is taking over, a public crisis hits. A news investigation alleges that undercooked chicken was being served at their Texas locations. Now, this wasn't just bad PR. It was a symptom of a much bigger operational breakdown. The model that worked so well in Arizona, the central kitchens, the quick delivery, was cracking under the strain of a Texas-sized expansion, and it was leading to these critical failures in quality control. So, facing all these mounting problems, the new leadership made a really drastic decision. To save the company, they had to shrink it. And I mean shrink it in a huge way.
Just look at this chart. It tells the whole story, right? In May of 2025, the company is at its absolute peak with 146 stores. Fast forward less than a year, and they are down to just 70, all concentrated back in their home markets of Arizona and Nevada. They didn't just trim the edges, they literally cut the company in half to save its core.
Now, of course, the official company line frames this in a much more polished way. It's not a failure, it's a strategic pivot. The CEO said the move was all about positioning the company for long-term success and getting back to its original mission. Basically, what they're saying is they had to amputate these new struggling limbs to save the heart of the business.
And all of this leaves us with a big million-dollar question, doesn't it? It's a dramatic survival strategy for sure, but is it going to work? Can a company that expanded way too fast and stumbled so publicly really find its footing just by going back to basics? Or was the damage from its flawed Texas expansion simply too much to overcome? I guess that remains to be seen.